And we are live. So, welcome to episode 254 of An American Werewolf in New Jersey. I am the American Werewolf. In the house tonight, we've got a returning guest. We've got Tony D, author of The Pineys. What's happening, man? He said it's too damn cold to be hunting pineys, so he decided to stay inside and talk about some vampires tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Always good to see you again. And we've got Eric from Hey Internet Eric here, who is apparently thinking that he's going to keep his face warmed with facial hair, and no one's going to tell him any different.
That's right,
dude. It's fucking cold in Chicagoland, and I'm also real lazy, so it's win-win situation.
Yeah. All right. And we've got John K. Alvarez, a.k.a. Johnny Wawa, the founder and and he's got some coffee right there. He gets that for life for free.
That's right.
It's good to see you again, man. It's been a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got Jackie Biltona,
Regular human podcaster.
I don't know what that means, but okay, let's keep it positive.
Really, dude?
It's called self-promotion.
How are you going to do a podcast about Count Dracula? You don't know what we do in the shadows.
Yeah, I don't like campy things.
Goodness gracious. That's what I got pulled away from to come and do this, by the way. I totally forgot it was tonight. I thought it was going to be tomorrow night. I'm sitting on the couch all fat and happy watching what we do in the shadows, and then I get texts. You coming, dude? So, all right, I'm here.
It's either that or the Bears game, though, Bill. So
don't start. Ruin my Thanksgiving.
Well, if it's any consolation, you're still fat, so don't worry about it.
There you go.
Thank God.
All right, so,
We're going to work on the dumb and happy part.
I always remember that skit, that one frame from American Splendor where Peacock rounds the corner and sees himself in the mirror, and he's like, now there's a reliable disappointment. So, I wanted to talk about this film for a while. And it was one of those things where, typically I don't like to ask people to spend money to, screen something. I try to find things that people can, have access to for free. And then I luckily discovered somehow that this was playing for free on YouTube. Somebody had uploaded like 1 or 3 copies or something like that. And I'm talking about Phillip Saville's Count Dracula. So if you're ready to go, shall we get it going?
Yep. Onward and upward.
Boogie woogie.
Hit it.
Thank God for live music. Huh?
That's a nice intro.
Yeah. We stopped being scary a long time ago. So
Have you seen yourself in the mirror? Come on now. Let's look at that.
Physician, heal thyself. Okay,
That's what I'm saying. Look at us. Look at us, man.
It's a funny kind of scary. That's all it is. So, Dracula is the most adapted character in all of literature, going back now over 125 years from Stoker's original novel. Here's a quick question, quick show of hands or whatever. How many people have actually read the book? One, two,
excerpts.
Excerpts. Okay, so 2.5, 2.25.
I at
2
least
and a quarter
own it.
out of 5, 3.25 out of 5 because I read it. What's this now?
I said I at least own it. I haven't read it though.
Yeah. That's all right. You get around to it, but it's been adapted so many different ways. You know, you start to get into like Kim Newman's Anno Dracula. If you haven't read this, please. Mr. Kim Newman has written a fantastic series on Dracula. The first book taking off under the assumption that Dracula wins in the original novel. It sort of takes off from there, all the way into, modern manga today. If you're into comics, Shinichi Sakamoto is doing a masterful manga interpretation of Midnight Children DRCL. It's fantastic. The 4th volume is going to drop in English early next year. In my mind, I don't see that, and as much as we've talked about Dracula and as many different Lee and Lugosi and whoever else, Jared and Langella and
even
Oldman, Nicolas Cage. I don't think anybody's ever actually gotten it right in terms of the book comparison. It's a difficult thing. Everybody has played it a little differently. Lugosi played it like sort of a wax figurine. Lee played it just like a savage to the point, and I think after the second movie, he didn't have lines in his movies anymore. He just refused to say them. The presence was enough, and he just looked like he wanted to rip you to pieces. Oldman played it emo, crying purple tears because Winona Ryder stood him up on a date, but this actually dropped 2 years before Salem's Lot. And I remember watching it as a child on PBS on a Saturday night, and it scared the daylights out of me. And Salem's Lot gets all the smoke, but I think that this is a really, really good adaptation of the classic character. So we'll go round robin, and Tony, you can start us off here. What did you think? Just a quick blurb, maybe a minute or two, what you thought of this adaptation.
Well, I like the nostalgic aspect of it because it reminded me of the old BBC productions. It looked like one of the guys from Doctor Who during the Tom Baker era shot the thing. The first section was so slow, I nearly collapsed under its weight. That Downton Abbey sort of Victorian stuff just bores me to tears. But then it picked up, and then it got into the really bad 70s special effects where they're like, "Ooh, we can make Louis look like he's a negative. Let's do that." But I got to say that the standout for me was the Jewish Van Helsing. I mean, that guy was lighting up the screen. I loved it. I absolutely loved Van Helsing in this. He was great.
All right.
Louis Jourdan, I mean, hell, I think Michael Jordan would have been a better Dracula, but he's okay. He's got an accent. What are you going to do?
All right. Fair enough. Eric, what did you think?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Tony. It definitely took a while for me to pick up the pace. But when it finally hits, it hits like I really enjoyed that final act, when they're taking on Dracula's men and I guess how they took Dracula out. I liked how we got to actually see something unlike, Bela Lugosi, where he's pretty much killed off screen.
Yeah,
he grows.
Yeah.
Loved Van Helsing. He was a lot of fun. Dracula I've seen a lot better, but I've seen a lot worse. Overall, yeah, I enjoyed it. I do think they could probably cut out maybe at least a half hour, maybe 45 minutes.
No.
But overall, I enjoyed it.
All right, John, what do you got?
I think it's the first time I'm disagreeing with Eric. I don't think they should have cut anything out of it.
Oh, okay.
Is the beginning slow moving? Yes. So is the beginning of the book. Because they're laying everything out that you have to see, because he's a character that people are being introduced to. Dracula is kind of personal with me because Michael and I have talked about this before. When my years of working at Cape May Stage, one of our big productions that opened up the theater was where a guy who was directing one show for us was reading Dracula on the beach, and he wrote a one-man adaptation to it from the point of view of Jonathan Harker.
Okay.
And he asked me to do the sound effects and the lights and everything else. So that's what got me initially to read the book. This was a very good adaptation. All the mistakes that some people were saying, like you have the dated special effects and things like that, I could get by because they really did try to stick to the spirit of the story in this, the way they presented and everything else. I think one of the better characters that I liked in this a lot, which surprised me, besides Van Helsing actually made me laugh out loud with some of his comments, but was the way they did Renfield.
Yeah.
As opposed to him just walking in going like, let's get the spiders, and all that, how I've seen other people portray him.
Yeah.
He was doing it the same way, like he was trying to figure out what was going on with him at the same time.
Yeah,
and
I
also
agree.
like some of the interesting camera angles. I realized they were working without a budget. I saw that from the very beginning, so I think they tried to compensate by doing different angles and things like that. I'll probably get into it more when we talk about the movie.
Okay. Bill, Jackie. Jackie Bill Tona.
I gotta agree with John. The first thing that leaped out at me was that no budget. They were using that mid-70s television version of videotape that made the whole thing look like a soap opera. But it was charming at the same time that it was sort of dated. So I enjoyed watching it. And the same reason I watch, all kinds of B movies. I give them the benefit of the doubt to see if it picks up. But there is a whole big reason why they didn't put Tom Bombadil in Lord of the Rings. You don't have to do every goddamn paragraph of the book. And these guys stuck to the book a little bit too much. They could have streamlined it. It was way too long, almost 3 hours. Come on, dude.
All right. So that's 4. Now I'm going to round it out with 5. I'm going to stick with John. Everybody knows on this show, and I was explaining to Tony before we went on, that I never watch the movies that I actually like because I never want to get tired of them. This is a rare exception. I probably watch this once every 6 months. I never get tired of this. I liked the differences and the actual cheapness of it, like when it opens up with Jonathan and Mina, and it's just got that sort of canned 70s sort of thing going. But then immediately it picks up in the carriage. Yeah. And I thought that, within 5 minutes, he's in the carriage and he's going, and the shit, that music starts playing. And I love the small little details that they had. They mentioned from the book that it's the eve of St. George, and all the evil things in the world are gonna, come to life at midnight. I love the small scene where the woman is just like the sun's just about to drop, and she's washing her hands in the watering hole and praying real quick, so maybe she can get home. I love that bass line that they're playing to get the point as he starts to explain where it was that he has to go. She's like, "Not till Duce," don't go there, and it's just it had a great feel to it. Now, for me, you're talking about a guy who just came off of, reviewing Lawrence of Arabia, so you're not going to bother me. 2 hours and 30 minutes. That's like a commercial break for me. Could have kept it exactly the way that it is. Didn't have a problem. Louis Jordan, probably best known as Bond villain. Is it Diamonds? Are Forever. Which one?
I think it was Diamonds for Forever. Yeah.
Diamonds Are Forever. I think he was. He was the Bond villain. He had an interesting thing. I did a little bit of like wiki research on this or something, and he said Dracula should be played sort of as a kind person who just believes he's doing the right thing. And there wasn't any mask to slip with this guy. He just played it very matter of fact. And when the end, and he has the confrontation with Van Helsing and Harker, he's like, "Why are you attacking me? Like, I have to survive. You have to eat a bird. You know, I have to do what I have to do." It's not overtly, just sinister or evil. He's not lurking around the corner. He doesn't explode in rage at any particular time. And I actually liked that. I don't know about the rest of you.
That was kind of a drawback for me. I kept waiting for him to be evil. And I know that's interesting. Oh, it's a Dracula. It's not evil, but everything else around him falls apart if Dracula doesn't have some kind of menace. I mean, he has to have some kind of menace there in order for everything else to make sense. Otherwise, it's just this friendly guy up in the castle.
Who's sucking the blood out of your neck.
He doesn't even have the Angela like sexual vibe from it. It was just so very, very, for me, he played it very, very bland, and I was disappointed in that characterization of Dracula from what I like out of Dracula.
I'm just going to say real quick. Let me just interject real quick. I disagree with that point because I thought he was very predatory. Because one of the people that I actually liked was the Lucy character in this. She's like some 70s like hottie. Like Lucy was. I thought Lucy was like a real. I'm like, oh shit. Like and when like he gets on the bed, he is just mauling her, man. And he's like stretching out with the cape and everything. I'm like, God damn, like she has he's not wasting any daylight with her. But nor should he. But let's get around to some other opinions on Louis Joy.
I took it as the fact that even though he was low key, I took it more along the fact that it was like a Hannibal Lecter type of villain-esque portrayal of something. Hannibal Lecter being if going back to that character in Silence of the Lambs, he looked like the guy that lived next door that would actually eat you. I liked the fact that he had a sense of dignity to him in it, being the Count as well. And I didn't think he needed to scream. Now, would I have loved to see him burst into a bunch of vampire bats? Of course. That's what you see. But there's, it still wasn't. It goes back to what I was saying. Also, the low budgetness of the production. There's a scene where he's supposed to leap out the window, but you don't see him leap out the window. You just see the window smash. And when Van Helsing and Harker go to the window, Dracula's laying on the ground, and you just see the mist envelop him, and he disappears. I kind of liked that. Was it always perfect for me? No. But it was enough that I sat down and said, they're really trying to do something with this, Because it was the same thing. Again, I hate to sound like it because I'm going back to Renfield. They weren't playing a stereotypical portrayal of the characters, which is what I kind of liked. Did it always work? No, but it worked for me in the majority of the time.
Anybody else?
It seemed like they were trying to follow the book very closely. And from what I remember of it. So I was impressed that they attempted to do Dracula climbing along the wall of the castle. But the effect looked terrible. I mean, the effect was just bad. The sound was bad, and it looked ridiculous. I laughed out loud when I saw it. I'm like, what the hell is this? Right. He climbs up the building.
For someone to poke his head out the window and tell a bad joke.
Well, no, I thought he was doing the worm. It was
right.
To be honest, and I was. That was one of the things I sat there and said, okay, to me, this was a miss.
But I think you're right. I think you're right about the window, though. That was like the best they could do with their effects. Like I didn't mind that because they didn't try to do they didn't like, fill a
Mhm.
dummy with, dress it in Louis' clothes and throw it through the window and then have it get up.
Yeah.
What they did was better on that score. But yeah, for the climbing up the castle, I was just like, oh my God,
I loved
no.
Yeah, because for me personally, as a kid, I remember seeing that in '77, and they had never done that before.
Right.
Like Lugosi hadn't done it, Lee hadn't done it, and that's a key scene in the first third of the book. From Harker's journal, where she sees him like moving along the wall, and so I mean, for the budget, that was what we got. But for me, suspension of disbelief it's still happening for me. Like I'm still enjoying it a great deal. I think he sort of plays it that he's just smarter than you are.
Right.
Like he doesn't have to use force. He's just smarter. So you don't push, like he's not threatened by you at all. So there's really no need for him to rage. And at one point, Harker accuses him of playing cat and mouse with him. Hold on a second. I think we have a couple of comments here. Hey, we got Mr. Dan. What's happening, Dan? Hey, guys, not familiar with this one. This movie is available on YouTube. Just type in Count Dracula 1977. It's all there. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Yep.
So, for me personally, I mean, like I said, I own my own DVD copy. I hope one day that they actually transfer it over to Blu-ray because I'd love to own it that way too. This was a BBC television movie. In the same way that 2 years later, I guess CBS released Salem's Lot as a 2-night television experience. We got it with like PBS, like Masterpiece Theater, which when I was 9, I never wanted to watch anything that was on Masterpiece Theater. It's like, who the hell wants to watch Edith Wharton or, Jane Eyre or whatever. But Count Dracula? Holy shit, for 2 hours? 2 nights? No problem. Shut up and take my money.
I really liked this version of Dracula because, as John said, he is so low key. Because we've seen everything. We've seen Lugosi. We've seen people try to do Lugosi. You know what I mean? We mentioned Lee being the intimidating guy, and we've had everyone from Nicolas Cage to fucking Leslie Nielsen. He's been parodied and by God knows how many different actors. And it was nice just seeing someone just be, to a lesser extent, the everyday guy who could sneak in and get the job done type of thing. He reminded me, honestly, he could be your next door neighbor. He kind of reminded me of like Chris Sarandon in like Fright Night. You know what I mean? Like he could just live right next door to you and slip in and get what needs, do what needs to be done. And I liked finally seeing something different. Someone's not trying to do an impersonation of a previous performance or anything like that too. You know what I mean?
He also Go ahead, Mike. No, he had it. There was not that I've ever seen Dracula play dumb, with the exception of George Hamilton and Dracula: Pain in the Neck, or whatever that movie was in the late '70s. He did.
Love It First Bite or something.
Yeah, First Bite, something like that.
Yeah.
But he the sense of intelligence was played in this, I felt, which added to his arrogance. And I kind of like that. Going back when Harker tried to send a letter in his shorthand to Wilhelmina, and Carpathians brought it back to Dracula, and he holds it up and arrogantly plays with it in front of him, saying, "Oh, you'll love this. This is and like when we did, like again, you're doing that scene on stage, we used like the flash paper. And Dracula would pull it out and go, and it would burst. You get an effect for the audience. And I sat there and I said, "Oh my God, I kind of like the teasing, like na 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 na."
There's like when he tells him, hey, you're losing your temper. Like calm down. Like you're getting excited here. Relax. I'm gonna eat you. It doesn't make it. There's no point in getting upset about it. It's over with.
Hot blood gives me gas.
Yeah, I liked that Louis was low key. My problem with Louis is, and I don't think it's his fault. I think it's more on the director. There's not enough of him. He's not emoting. He is
All right,
He is
I'll give you that.
stone faced throughout the entire thing. His
right.
expression just doesn't really change until the very end.
Mhm.
And so, but again, I don't think that's his fault. They don't really give him an opportunity to have that moment where he, you know, maybe his eyes go wide, or he thinks a little bit, or he gets mad sort of underneath, but doesn't try to show it or express it. But then you compare that to Van Helsing, who just comes in as just naturally like fills the whole screen with his presence. There's like no comparison. Like Van Helsing, that actor is Van Helsing, and Louis is just the guy playing Dracula.
The guy who plays Van Helsing is so, even when it's just a simple scene of like giving a little bit of exposition and making hot cocoa, you know what I mean? There's just something about that actor that draws you in, and you just want to see what's up his sleeve next.
He reminded me of Mel Brooks.
Yeah,
I was wondering if that's where Mel got the idea for his interpretation of Van Helsing.
He might.
I noticed that too. I thought that too a little bit.
Yeah, I'm like, this is Mel Brooks.
To go back where Eric was saying, which I thought was great, I'm watching him make that cocoa. And it's like big scoop, little milk. Big scoop. In my head, I'm going, you're not making cocoa, you're making pudding, dude. It's like,
he stirs the cup, and then he takes that spoon out to put it in the next one. And he has that third cup.
Everybody got your cocoa? Okay, kids, we're going to go kill the Dracula now.
Yeah, he has that third cup ready for the guy to walk in before he's walking in, like, because he can just anticipate it. Yeah, he's really good.
I laughed at so I didn't laugh at it, but I'm like, that's actually charming, you know?
I don't want to rush there. I want to jump back a little bit. What did you guys think of the brides?
Now that was a good scene, man.
Yeah, that was Go ahead.
I like a good set of Dracula brides, man. And
we've talked about this many times.
I love the fact they're wearing in black, and that's not a joke. I've seen Dracula's. I've seen Dracula's wives, you know, wearing like black outfits or tatter. They just look like they were wearing nightgowns.
Yeah.
And I loved that. It was that simple. You know. And again, it probably could have been for budget reasons, but it's so contrast to what their intentions are. They're not pure white.
Yeah, and they're just attractive enough to you're like, okay, yeah, that's good. That they're like specters.
Right.
You know, that's kind of how they're playing it, you know, and you just sort of get hypnotized by the laughter. It's like this relaxing sort of setting, you know, and like this hypnotic suggestion, you know, that like Harker is falling under, and then the shit hits the fan, but it doesn't go the direction that, you know, because usually when it goes wrong with the brides, it's usually Dracula coming in and flying into a rage, and you know, he's throwing the women everywhere and, you know, slapping everybody. He's not that way. It's actually the brides that are fucking scary. And this was the first time I had ever seen them eat the baby.
Woo!
Yeah, that was a holy cow moment for me. I was like, holy crap. They actually kill a baby in this? But this was the 70s, like on the BBC. They did stuff like that. And I think these three brides were probably the hottest actress they could get on the budget they had in 77.
Right.
I think that's what they were going for. Like, oh, let's try to, like, you know, really juice this up.
It's definitely effective because the brides are not supposed to be beautiful. They could be slutty, but they're supposed to be slightly ugly as like a symbol of like the woman that Dracula doesn't have available to him, and in contrast to Mina, who's supposed to be like, you know, this ultimate trophy. The brides that surround Dracula should be a little bit ugly.
Right. Mike, they killed a baby in the book, didn't they? I'm trying to remember. It's been years that's what I thought. He brought him a baby in that scene.
The only other interpretation where they've done it is in Coppola's, where they don't really show it. They just show I think they're lifting up the baby or something like that. And then, you know, you get Keanu Reeves with that really bad acting job. Yeah. But here, like these women steal the scene. They really do steal the scene. And then it just cuts out. you know. And then when they come back at the end of the movie, they steal the scene again when they take on Van Helsing in the woods, and you're like, oh shit, you know, because like I watched this up until about 20 minutes. About 20 minutes left, and then yesterday I popped in for the final 20 minutes after work, and it was just that scene where they're going into the woods and they get into that fight, and I'm like, damn, these women, they're stealing the scene again. It's fantastic. But then we get back to the the Downton Abbey kind of thing, and we start to meet, you know, like Lucy and, you know, the whole gang there. And yeah, I liked this Lucy character. And I thought she made an effective as hell vampire. I thought she was scary as fuck. But also she had this, I mean, even when she was like, when she first started getting bit, she had this very demure kind of thing going on. And it just, I mean, like I think Bill said, you know, you're not going to get Raquel Welch here, or whoever was, you know, the it woman or the it girl in the 70s, you know, or Farrah Fawcett or whoever it was. But I thought she did a damn good job, you know, playing the mouse. But I thought she was hot.
Right. I loved that, and she was the way they played the character, because I've seen the character of Lucy, for lack of a better term, and please forgive my bluntness on it. I've seen her just get set up to be bit. You know, at times, and sometimes they don't give her much. I remember from reading the book and such that she did have that mind. I mean, one of my favorite scenes is when they were in the first bedroom scene, and she goes, "Why can't I have two husbands?" You know, type deal. The way she said it and rolled it off, that reminded me of her, and I did. That was another thing that I laughed. Also, to give credit where credit due, as a production, I noticed as Lucy started getting drained more from Dracula, her teeth started getting sharper. I mean, it was subtle, but all of a sudden when she's talking, her canine teeth were sharper and sharper. So when Van Helsing actually pulled back the mouth to look at it, it wasn't that surprising. It was right in front of you.
Yeah, they would just talk.
Change.
Yeah, they would talk, and you would see the teeth already hanging down, and you're like, fuck. It's the same thing that happened with Mina when she got bit.
Yeah,
it was a nice contrast too to see the character of Lucy, as they said, so full of life, and then after she gets bit, she's immediately a lot quieter. Yeah, and then as she continues, she gets worse and worse and worse until the end. So that was nice to see that character, a little bit of characterization. Yeah, the pacing of it was so slow. But that was the BBC in 77, I think. I mean, that's the way, you know, I think they rolled this out in 5 half-hour increments and probably jammed commercials every 15 minutes, something like that, or at least every half hour. I'm not sure how the commercials go in the BBC. It was probably 3 hours to watch with the commercials.
And there was also a sense of style of acting at that time where everything was dramatic.
Yeah.
Whenever I worked, whenever I worked with high school students and directing them, and they come in, it's a big moment scene. They always come in and pose. I'm like, no, just walk in. Let's make it but that's the way. That was also a style that was done too, to get that effect.
I'm assuming some of them had worked on the BBC's Shakespeare, because that was the deportment. It was the same sort of style as all those Shakespeare BBC films that I watched when I was at Stockton.
Yeah, it was very much play acting, in the basement. And it had a very play sensibility to it in a lot of the scenes.
Yeah, that's interesting. It very much is. It feels like a stage production.
I agree.
Yeah, it's very much a stage. I didn't pick up on that. Yeah, it's very much a stage production. That's interesting.
Well, at that time, all those actors would have been experienced on the stage.
Yeah, they would be working in the West End when they were done for the day.
Which is weird because the original movie was based off of the stage production a lot.
Right.
So it seems like they were like, all right, we got this book. Let's put the whole book on stage. And like you said, long and slow.
Well, I think the only thing that
punctuated with good things, though. You can't take that away from them. But there was definitely a bunch of great stuff in between long bouts of exposition.
Well, the thing that bothered me the most was the guy who played Quincy. I think he was a British guy trying to be a Texan. I think, and he was just, don't you? And I'm like, please don't ever do that again.
You didn't like his Southern accent. You didn't, his Texas accent. Michael?
Yeah, we could have just had Tex come on again. We could have done it that way. Good grief.
They couldn't find a real American at that point. Come on.
I think he genuinely was an English actor, who probably was trying to do some sort of what his interpretation of a Texas, man would sound like.
Western. Just give him just a general blanket Western accent.
Yeah. One of the things also, they did with Lucy, she became a ferocious vampire. She was just scary. Like she just she really went for it. She really
loved when all the vampires, they had those contacts where it was the whites of the eyes were pure black, and then you just had the red pupils. That looked good. I really like that look.
And what freaked me out?
Trinity.
Oh yeah, well, he's better than Dominic Purcell.
Purcell,
yeah, he's definitely better than Purcell. She bites that little boy.
Yeah,
that's something you hadn't seen before in the. Bill and I talked about when they showed Terrence Fisher's A Horror of Dracula, and Peter Cushing rescues that little girl, and he pulls out that like big ass rosary that's like a foot long. The cross itself on the rosary is just enormous. Oh, I carry this pretty thing, but even they didn't go so far as to actually bite that kid, which is exactly where they went with this. And I'm like, holy shit, that's dark.
Yeah.
I really like that they really tried to go for that, because the whole sequence in the book about, the beautiful lady that everybody keeps seeing, wandering, throughout the city. They kind of touched on that a little bit. And fantastic. Another really solid point. Another one of my favorite scenes too was when Dracula is just trolling Harker when he's driving the carriage.
Right. Yes.
After he comes back to London and he looks up and it's Dracula just driving. He just looks at it, crack. He's just cracks the whip, just harassing the shit.
Welcome
out of
to
Harker.
London.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, welcome back. Hey, you made it, you fucker. Jesus Christ.
How are the wives?
Yeah. I love your sister-in-law, man. She's just fucking great. Talk about this Renfield character. What was it that you guys liked? Because I'm thinking of a couple of things.
Well, he was crazy, but he wasn't like screaming mad crazy. He was He was struggling with whatever it was that Dracula was doing with them. And then at the end, you get that sort of redemption of Renfield where he tries to save Mina, but he really can't.
Yeah, like Tony said before, the Renfield in the original just is annoying. The laugh loses its charm right away, and a more subtle play of you're crazy, but not being a maniac really worked for me.
It was funny because he was also more explosive than Dracula. There was a time like when he attacked Dr. Stewart's assistant and cut his arm.
Oh yeah,
all of a sudden explodes. He has that energy, but he was never manic. I thought the funniest thing was when he was talking with Mina the first time, and she says, "Hello, Mr. Renfield. How are you?" He sounded like someone on a bus. He didn't want someone to sit next to him. That was, I kind of liked that, that he sounded at times more, I don't want to say human, but I guess that's what it is. He was, again, playing it almost at a human level. He wasn't going for the extreme manic.
He was less cartoony like Dwight Frye was, in the original.
The one thing I didn't understand was why he kissed her in that scene. I didn't get that. and
Well,
why.
sex sells. And
I guess. I mean, why Jonathan didn't run over there and beat the crap out of him?
Hey, it's my wife.
yeah, I don't think Jonathan would beat the crap out of anybody.
Yeah, Parker is
he was
like
kind
the
of
least.
he was kind of weak for me.
Mm.
You know, Keanu couldn't act, but I was waiting for him to brawl.
I think he just wanted a little humanity.
Right.
You know, it's a lonely, miserable life he leads, eating fucking flies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then eating spiders.
Spiders.
And I think, and I think he just wanted, for a brief moment, to feel to feel something other than what it's just a vile existence that he leads.
I personally think if he didn't do that, I don't know if he would save Mina. I think he was trying to grasp to get back to humanity,
being a person again. Yeah,
being a person
again. It's interesting because I thought he was way better than Tom Waits in Coppola's Dracula. This is understated and without all the overacting that Waits did. I mean, I love to listen to Tom Waits, but that performance as Renfield is another thing entirely.
Oh, I remember thinking when I first saw him, I originally thought, and it took me a while to realize it wasn't him. I thought it was a young Peter Capaldi. If you know who he was, they kind of remind me similar of in that fashion, and it's the same thing. He has that same low key type delivery at times.
I loved it when he saw Mina after she had been bitten. He doesn't look at her, and he just says, "You look different today." Like he knows instantly.
He knows something's up.
Yeah. He knows exactly what it is. That's no one else is picking up on, and he's just kind of trying not to look at you. You look very different today. Something's happening here.
Jack Shepard is the name of the actor. I have the IMDb page up.
Let's talk briefly about Harker. What did you? I thought he was Harker the cuck. Dracula even punks him in getting Mina to drink his blood while he's right there in the bed with her.
Yeah.
It's just the ultimate fucking.
That's the nature of the character, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, in his defense too, like Dracula has powers and he doesn't have any. So he keeps him asleep, and he can't do anything.
Well, I mean, that's kind of Harker's lot in life. Like, no matter what the interpretation of Harker is,
Harker's pretty much just there. He never really does anything, and at least in any of the interpretations I've seen, he's just a character that's there and doesn't really do anything.
That's a lot of whiskey, Tony.
You also have to take in consideration that the fact. It's an average Victorian style of man type deal. It's not like he's, it's not like Jonathan Harker played by, who was Snake Plissken?
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah. It wasn't like he was played by Kurt Russell where he's going to come running in the room and be that adventure guy. I mean, he did like climb out of the castle. They showed all the stuff he had to go through to get there, but it's not surprising. If he was that way, well, then Dracula probably would have killed him. Next to Mina, and take her blood, type deal.
True.
I
think it bugs us because we keep thinking we would defend, type deal as well.
Well, I think also a real estate agent.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
I got my ass beat by a real estate agent once in a
There's
bar.
nothing more milquetoast than this guy.
Yeah,
I think that's definitely the point. That he needs the superhero of the Van Helsing to show up and sort of come in and help him because he's weak.
That's just sort of Renfield's lot. Harker's lot in life. It's just it's not gonna happen.
He's sort of the everyman of that age.
Yeah.
He can't, like, Quincy's a cowboy. So he gets a little bit of cred, and then you got Van Helsing, and even the Dr. Seward has got a role to play, but he's just the everyman caught up in all this, and he survives. I mean, there's that. I mean, he beats the brides. He gets away.
Yeah, I love the fact that Lucy shot a gun better than he did. But
no, that was Mina.
Mina, I'm sorry.
Right?
Yeah, Mina.
Yeah.
So when she shot,
where did that come from? Is that
like,
in the book?
Damn, man.
Is that in the book that Mina shoots that dude? I don't think so.
I can't remember the final chase scene. It basically ends in a chase scene. They're chasing him down with the gypsies.
It felt like a gimme to feminism at the end there, late 70s. Like, oh, let Mina shoot the dude, and that way, she's helping too. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how it worked because no. Yeah. It's not as bad as it's way better than Coppola's, with the love story and my love could be released and blah blah blah. Like, Jesus Christ.
I traveled oceans of time for you.
Yeah, make it. That movie should be like the greatest Dracula in like the history of horror films, and it's just they decided to make him a romantic character, like the ultimate tragic. He's, like Dracula is not a tragic character. Like I like this version of Dracula where he's not like a raging beast. Although I love Christopher Lee and I love Lugosi. I love Gerard Butler. I love Gerard Butler as Dracula in Dracula 2000. I think he's great. I think he's fucking fantastic.
Yep.
Especially when he kills Omar Epps. I mean, what's not to like about that? But
bonus points for that.
Yeah, I mean, just to play him like some emo, like I don't know what. And you're why are you doing this?
It's because we want to sympathize the villain and make him the hero.
I will
he's misunderstood.
Well, that's definitely the trend, especially in the 90s. It was all leading up to this trend of every villain is actually an anti-hero that we see. There's another.
He's misunderstood.
I don't think I've seen that movie since high school. I'm gonna have to revisit it just to see why Mike hates it so much. Or
I tried for maybe 15 years to watch that movie like once a year, once every 6 months, and say, this is the time I'm going to watch it, and it's not going to suck. And I can't get through the halfway point. I can't do it.
You know what it is? It's the subverting of expectations crap that started right around that time. They didn't want to do a straight up Dracula where the vampires are evil and the humans are the good guys. No. We're going to subvert your expectations, everybody. And we're going to make you feel bad for the villain to the point at which it's too much. The one thing I love about this movie is that the vampire's evil and they all have to be destroyed.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I love Van Helsing. He's like, we have to get to work.
Yeah.
Like, let's do this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We need to do this now. I mean, a book that was written around the same time was Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Right.
And to me, Frankenstein's a more sympathetic character because he didn't want to come back. Right. They brought him back to life and then abandoned him, for lack of a better term.
And then exposed him to like every barbarity that he could be exposed to turn him into, he ended up turning into. Hold on a second. We got, what's happening, man?
Monster, dude.
Exorcist Reviews. What's happening, man?
Hey, how are you?
Thanks for stopping in all the way in Alaska out there, coming in to say hey.
And we're saying it's cold in Jersey.
Yeah, right. There was something else. That was Coppola's Dracula was a Dracula film that was made for people other than horror fans.
Yeah,
like women love that movie.
Yeah,
they love that. The one with where he's that one.
It's a love story, Mike.
Yeah, and so he made it accessible for normies. Who just want to say that they watched a Dracula movie, and you're just like, this movie.
And that movie, if you change nothing else except some of the casting, it might play better. But it was just all the up and coming stars at the time, all smashed together, regardless of whether they worked or not. I would keep Gary Oldman, but I would get rid of Keanu, get rid of Winona Ryder, we get rid of half of them.
Yeah.
What about Anthony Hopkins? Was he at least good as Van Helsing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
I
all
mean,
right.
it's not
He
the
was
most
good.
dynamic movie for him to do Van Helsing. I would have done it. I would have had him do it differently.
He was good within the script that they gave him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's the same with Oldman's performance is solid. It's just a shitty story. It's just a
I'm sure
shitty.
Hopkins was just doing it for the money.
I
Anthony
remember when that
Hopkins.
came
I
out.
think Anthony Hopkins was better than Laurence Olivier, who played Van Helsing with Frank Langella.
Langella, yeah.
You know, but that was the other time that they tried to make Dracula, for lack of a better term, sexy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when Frank Langella, if you ever hear him do an interview talking about it, because he did the stage version of it, he goes, I walked out on stage, and when I opened my shirt, there were people in the audience that were going, woo! You know, because but it was the first time Dracula was presented that way.
Yeah.
Well,
You know, oh, he's dark and brooding. Yeah, and he also sucks your blood.
Yeah.
You know, you're
But the
forgetting
thing
that
about
point.
the
Well,
thing
there's a
about the
19
'90s
there's a
Dracula,
1930s sort of aesthetic with Bela Lugosi. He was sexual in a way,
Yeah.
a weird, awkward Eastern European way, but he was still being sexual.
Yeah.
At least
But
in
at that time, that
tracksuit.
was considered exotic.
Yeah. Tony, go ahead.
but the '90s Dracula, one of the things they touted during the press tour was the camera. I don't know if you remember this. They were big on, we have this new camera, it's computerized, and that's why you remember the scene where you have that fast tracking camera in the garden. That was all computerized. Like the computer moved the camera in such a way, and it could memorize where all the actors were pointed, so they could move them around and do stuff with them that we couldn't do before. So that was, again, another one of these new Hollywood innovations where they were touting the technology rather than the story. And the one thing that, again, another thing I like about this, the 77 one, is it has to focus on story because they don't have all those bells and whistles.
And that's why I think, and for the most part, to me, 85-90% of it works. You know, because of that. It's and the commitment by the actors too. It's very underrated. I mean, they're very committed into playing the parts. We make fun of the actor who plays Quincy because of his accent being broad, but his Texan accent was better than Keanu Reeves' British accent.
Yeah, it was.
You know, I mean,
that's not saying much, though.
I know, but if you put it, there was a commitment to it, and I like Keanu.
Yeah.
I genuinely do, but I've seen him do roles, and I'm going, dude, no. It's much ado about nothing, and so's your acting in this movie.
This is interesting in the sense that there are no real, except for Louis Jordan, who is never really an A-list star, but there are no big A-list people here.
Right.
Okay.
You know, like everybody, Frank Finley. Like I know Frank Finley from a couple of other things, and I know Louis Jordan. You know, he was a Bond villain. But I mean, everybody else is. I couldn't tell you that. Like Renfield. I think Tony looked his name up, or somebody looked his name up.
Yeah.
You don't know these people, and for the most part, they all give a really solid performance. Everybody seemed to give a shit.
Yeah.
Because it was a rare opportunity that the BBC was adapting horror, which they never did. They never did. You were going to watch Pride and Prejudice until you bled out of your ears. So this one chance.
Right, Claudius.
Yeah.
Like I say, man, it's a charming film. For all its faults, it has a value. And tried very hard. They tried very hard, all of them.
I loved that scene where he was standing there and you saw the sunlight of the cross.
Oh yeah,
on his face. Because normally, if they did it in another movie, it'd be like, burn and play it for the shot. Him standing there looking at the crucifix and not backing down, I went, oh shit. He's not doing the which was other portrayals. I loved that moment.
Yeah.
Type deal.
Technically, as someone who played Dungeons and Dragons and battled many a vampire,
There you go.
that should have burned him I would have been very upset with my DM. I'm aiming the cross right at him. Oh, he's not burning. That's against the rules. Let's just stop things and look up the rules.
I guess your fate isn't what you thought it was, buddy.
Tony D, Vampire Hunter.
Turning over in his grave right now.
That's why I love the scene where the host burns Mina.
Yeah.
Right? He puts the host on Mina, and you get like the big smoke, and she screams. That was a good scene.
Even though it was smoking early.
Yeah, it was smoking early.
I did notice that. I was like, nice and fun, but they kept that in. That's from the book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the mark of the host. I mean, they really they were very ambitious for not having much, but God damn it, they were going to give it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, using the host as a circle of protection,
which was, I thought, ingenious.
Yeah, the brides can't get in, and again, I thought that was another great scene where the bride stole the scene, right? You know, because they were really intimidating out there in the woods. You know, all of a sudden they just sort of start, and they can't get through the circle of the protective circle of the host.
That's a protection from evil spell. That's a first level cleric spell, just so you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I'll let Father Anthony know that on Sunday. Yeah, that's a good job there, Father. That's a first level spell.
I mean, you know, you're going there, Tony. I'm gonna show off my brand new dice tray.
Ooh, nice.
Oh,
that's nice.
Hold on a second,
baby.
Wait, hold on.
I think I have my dice here.
Oh, yes. There we go.
And once again, American Werewolf dives into D&D culture.
Yeah.
I got my Crown Royal dice bag.
Yes.
Oh, wait, hold on. I kicked him out of the stream. I didn't mean to do that.
That's funny.
I think we've created a budding friendship here, Mike.
Hold on. What do you got? What do you got, Tony? Show us
I've
again.
got my Crown Royal dice bag.
Oh, very nice.
Where's I got my 20-sided dice. Here you go.
Tony, where's the Crown
I'm set
Royal?
to go. I got the very large 20-sided die. Big die for big numbers, as we say.
Or people like me who have weak eyes.
Tony,
I don't have to wear my glasses to read them.
Wait, hold on. Tony, where's the Crown Royal?
There it is right there.
Yeah. No,
no, that was in the bag.
Yeah.
Oh, that's long gone. That's long
gone. Here we go. I'm running a fucking AA meeting.
Who play D&D, man.
This is the vampire. This is the Dracula thing that we need to be made.
Oh, right. Right.
Emo.
All right. Look what I started. All right. So, I
also love that the look. He was like, "You're not going to hurt me."
What was that? So, I mean, you know, it comes to an end in the way, you know, and I think it was Eric who said he liked the death scene.
Mm-hmm. I think that whole chase scene with the gypsies and everything was really, really good. I wasn't expecting that, but is that in the book too?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it ends with they're all chasing the final coffin down, and he's got his gypsy bodyguards that they eventually overrun.
I was really getting into that, and then Tony brought it up earlier. How the hell was Mina so good with a gun, and that was really fun. And then I really liked how it was a race against time. They mentioned the sun's going down, and then Van Helsing, he's just booking it. I mean, he gets his tools, he throws the lid up, and then Dracula sees, and he's got that shit-eating grin because you got like 5 seconds to get it done, dude, or else I'm gonna rip your throat out. And it was cool to actually, like I said, see him get staked. It was a good scene for TV movie, I guess you would say it is, in the budget. And I liked how he still turned to ash. You know what I mean? At the very end, we got to see that last bit of it. So I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I love the fact that we saw the blood when other people got staked, and all of a sudden they went with the ash, the smoke, and everything else. He just disappears, which I remember from the book. They said when he died, his body just went away. Type deal after centuries of being whatever.
Well, there was some remains in the coffin, like you could see.
Looked like burnt paper.
Huh?
It looked like burnt paper.
Yeah, and it also looked like a part of his jawbone, I think, something like that. Some of his bones, maybe, and then his clothes. So
that's the only jawbone. The jawbone was the only bone they could afford. to throw in.
Right. Right.
I want to go back real quick and say something too. And this is one I've never seen this before. When they stake Lucy, Van Helsing actually they show him fucking cutting her head off with that fucking liston knife.
Right.
Mhm.
And you're like, what the fuck? Like he stuffs the garlic flour in her mouth, and then he just pulls out that fucking liston knife and just and you're like, holy shit, this is hardcore,
That's
man.
step-by-step instructions in the monster manual, how to kill a vampire. Like
Exactly. I was about
all
to say.
in there.
I was about to say step by step. You know,
And the
There's
next
a
scene,
video
Van Helsing
on
rolling
YouTube.
20. Yeah, okay.
there's a free video on YouTube if you look it up.
I did appreciate watching this because it's a nice sort of appetizer as we count down to Eggers' Nosferatu. So
Yeah.
waiting for that.
We had this in the 70s. We had Salem's Lot. We had Herzog's and Nosferatu, which is, I think, so far my second favorite vampire movie of all time. The 70s were not a bad era for vampire flicks.
Yes.
They even did some good horror movies. I remember in the 70s, NBC used to do these 2-night movies.
Okay.
And one of them was Frankenstein.
Yeah.
You know, I remember seeing that when I was like in 7th grade at the time, and I was 12 years old. It was Sunday night and Monday night, and I was like, "Holy shit!" You know, the way they did this version of Frankenstein.
Because the 70s was the golden age.
Next, or
70s was like the tail end of the golden age of the monster movie in American culture. It started up at around 1959, 58, 59, went right into the mid 70s before it started to die off.
Well, really, you had the Universal monster movies. They kind of started off. I think that predates the 50s, right? And that
that's the 30s.
The golden age of monsters in America started when those movies got released to television. That started the monster host craze, and it just took hold. That's you go from that the Universal monsters to like Groovy Ghoulies at the end of the 70s on Saturday mornings.
I had a game, a board game. I think I still have it. I don't know where it is, but it was Monopoly, but instead of Monopoly, they were the Universal monster movies.
Right.
Nice.
I actually saw that too.
King Kong was Boardwalk, and you had to instead of getting houses, you had to get the stars so you could make the movies. And it's really cool because it has pictures of all the stars from stills from all the movies. Dr. Phibes is in it. I think that's the cheap one. So Dracula, of course, is in it, and Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. So
right. Yes.
Oh damn, we can't avoid that.
I was watching one of those what was this, Svengoolie type deal on them. They showed because you said Dr. Phibes, they showed Dr. Phibes and Dr. Phibes Rides Again, or whatever the sequel was.
Yep.
But they showed Abbott and Costello, and I never knew this because according to them, they said a little movie fact. Bela Lugosi played Dracula in that movie. When they met Abbott Costello meets Frankenstein, he goes. He said between the original Dracula and that was the only 2 times they ever played Dracula.
Yep,
because we keep thinking he's played it in all these, and those are the only 2 times he put on the cape and actually did it.
Yeah, because right after him was John Barrymore and oh Jesus, who was
House of Dracula with John Barrymore is a great fucking movie.
I agree.
With Lon Chaney Jr. playing the Wolfman. Oh man,
Lon Chaney's even played Dracula. He's played them all.
He's played them all.
Yeah, Son of Dracula.
They showed that one on the Universal box set because they didn't have a lot of Lugosi, so you can see all those variations if you buy the Universal Dracula box.
That's why when what's his name came out, Mike, the movie you saw, Annabelle.
Yeah. Okay.
They were talking about the way, not to give it away because I did see the movie, but the way the ending was set up. Who comes in at the end? They were trying to say they made that. They're saying if Annabelle actually did well, they may take a crack at him playing an updated version of Dracula. What would happen if he was in? And I thought that would be interesting because they keep saying they want to update the Universal Monsters.
I keep
type
hearing
deal.
that. Yeah, now they got a
Well, they
Wolfman
keep-
movie coming out in January.
Yeah.
They keep trying. Like they wanted to do Dracula Untold, and that bombed. And then Tom Cruise's Mummy, and that bombed.
And,
I
have a problem with
Even
that.
turning it into a corporate.
I do. I have a problem with that, man. I saw Tom Cruise's Mummy, and I'm not a big Tom Cruise fan, but I kind of liked it better than what the critics were saying about it. I saw some problems with it, but I liked it a little more than I thought. And
Was Tom Cruise running in it?
Yeah, when doesn't he?
A lot.
No, Tom Cruise said if they actually did a movie where they were trying to bring back all the Universal monsters, he would do that part again. He's already said it because I would say it because he enjoyed doing it.
Well, they also had Russell Crowe was Dr. Jekyll in that movie because they were trying to do this shared universe. And then I know Lee Winnell did The Invisible Man.
Yeah.
But it was nothing like The Invisible Man. And that's what this new Wolfman looks like. It looks like it's nothing to do with any of the
Lawrence Talbot.
It looks, honestly, it looks just like a fucking werewolf movie, and that's it. Nothing more.
Chris has got to do them all.
There's another movie out that came out about a year ago that's very similar to this new Wolfman movie, and it's got Kit Harington, the guy who played Jon Snow from Game of Thrones, and it's streaming right now. It's on Shudder or some. Hold on, let me see if I can dig out what the name is.
Is that the one with Frank Grillo? Are you talking about that one?
I don't know. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see if I can.
I know we used to show a preview of it when I worked at the movie theater.
It's called The Beast Within. It's from this year.
Yeah.
The Beast Within.
I think it's a different one.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Frank Grillo one's called Werewolves. It kind of looks like.
Oh yeah, I've seen previews of that. That's coming out in like this week or next.
Yeah, it looks more like the Howling because it's got like military werewolves kind of thing going.
Yeah. They're desperately trying to revamp it, but I think they're all going the wrong direction.
Yeah, Frank Grillo and Lou Diamond Phillips are in it.
That could be trouble. That could be dangerous. Oof.
Yeah, it comes out Friday. Comes out this Friday.
What's it called?
Werewolves.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, literally just called Werewolves.
The musical. They're going for the Wicked.
Yeah. Frank Grillo. I can obviously see him in a musical.
Nice.
Well, they got that new Ray Fiennes movie coming out. He's playing Odysseus. From
it's the tail end of the Odyssey. Yeah,
with Phillip Binoche. Yeah, I want to see that.
I would really like to see him play Van Helsing.
He would actually make a good Van Helsing.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah.
From the description of Wikipedia, the werewolf movie to me kind of sounds like what is it, The Purge a little bit. It says an event triggered a latent supermoon event triggers a latent gene in every human on the planet, causing anyone exposed to the moonlight to transform into werewolves, killing millions overnight. A year later, the world attempts to prepare for another supermoon. So it seems kind of like it's one of these bad situations happen, and the next year we got to prepare for it as is ongoing.
I'm curious to see if that's playing here. I'm looking at my Regal app now.
I think it's got a wide release.
Now, you haven't been to South Jersey.
It's not like
That's true.
Yeah, let's bring back a good old-fashioned vampire flick.
Yeah, nothing says Christmas but werewolves and vampires.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Who else can come down a chimney besides Santa? Dracula. That's all I'm saying.
True.
Oh no! It's playing this fucking weekend. Holy shit!
There you go.
It's playing in Mays Landing. No shit. I may actually go see it. I was going to go see Odysseus, but maybe I'll go see some werewolves. Maybe I'll see both.
Go see both. Sneak out of one movie and go.
Man, I went to go see. The Bonhoeffer movie, which was about Dietrich Bonhoeffer during World War II.
Right.
That played this weekend, this past weekend, and I went. What was it? 3:00, I think, on a Friday, or 3:00 on a Sunday, or something. It was like 3:00 in the afternoon. The theaters were you couldn't get a parking space because it was Moana 2. So it was like it was soccer moms and little girls.
Yeah,
soccer moms and their daughters. But I guess Wicked was also in the second weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
A couple people straggling, I guess, to go see Gladiator 2, who hadn't caught it the opening weekend, and then there were like 10 of us going to see Bonhoeffer. But yeah, I mean,
I know somebody else who saw Bonhoeffer, and they raved about it. They really liked it.
I liked it. I just had no idea how fucked up it was. I mean, like, you know, it was just, it was like a sane person's perspective of what it would have been like to grow up in Germany during the rise of Hitler and during World War II, like right up till the end, and you're just kind of trapped in these circumstances. And it's screwed up. It's screwed up. All right. Is there anything about this film that we have not addressed that anyone would like to mention?
I got nothing.
No, sir.
I think we covered everything. I mean,
Bueller,
we even covered
anyone?
the music.
Anyone?
You know.
All right. Tony, were you going to say something?
Yeah, one thing.
Yeah.
So the way they shot it is they apparently shot it in the English countryside, but like the part of that was confusing to me because sometimes I couldn't tell when they were. I guess towards the end of the movie, they were supposed to go back to Castle Dracula in Romania to kill him, right?
Right.
And that transition just went right past me. And I was like, oh, this is the same stupid woods they've been driving these stagecoaches through the entire movie. Like, so it didn't look, you know, that part of it didn't look very authentic to me. It was just, you know, a lot of trees and it felt very English countryside. Even that scene in the beginning.
Even in the scene in the beginning when he was riding to the castle the first time, I thought it was funny that you're seeing the cart ride and it's clear, sunny day, and then when Harker looks out the window, there's snow.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, to me, that's budgetary type thing. They were.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
Dealing with what they had. I don't blame them so much on that, but it distracts you from the storyline.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been hard to do much else, but it was just a little. I think they needed some, maybe some slugs at the bottom of the screen, like
probably,
Romania. 2 days later, or something like that would have helped. I
actually liked it because we were talking about it. I actually liked some of the camera angles in the.
The way it was shot.
When the Wise first went after Harker, all of a sudden you saw him, and it was like the camera. You just saw the hand waving in front of it, and when Renfield was in the sanatorium trying to catch the fly and the angle was from above and him getting it and getting frustrated, they really tried to do a lot with what little they had.
Yep, they definitely moved the camera around in some good ways and really tried to do some perspective stuff that, you know, positioning people in certain parts of the frame to give them more dominance. You know, they did that with Louis and always put Jonathan, they tended to put him on the left side of the screen, which is less dominant.
I just, for me, the one scene, like I said, where Van Helsing is holding off the brides with the wafers. And it's just a shot of the brides. Like you're not seeing, they're just sort of circling. They're just sort of circling and circling. I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the part on the stream where we rate the film. This channel has a rating system that goes from 0 to 5 up by halves. So 0, 0.5, 1, 1.5, all the way to 5. So 0, for example, would be I'd rather lick a rat than watch this movie again, all the way to 5, which is this is the journey, this is the destination, this is why I watch films in the first place. Eric, what would you give Philip Saville's Count Dracula?
Take into account that it is BBC, made for television in the 70s. You know, I have no problem with that. I think for first time watching, for someone who has not read the source material, I'm going to go with a 3.5. I still say you could have probably chopped out 45 minutes for me. I do like the Dracula. I loved Van Helsing. The brides, and like I said, that final act were great. But just some of the other choices, like Tony brought up real early in the beginning, you know, making Dracula, like flipping the negative of Dracula. I get it's the 70s. They didn't have to do stuff like that. That kind of got me rolling my eyes. And it just, I was laughing in parts I'm pretty sure I shouldn't have been laughing at. But overall, I did really enjoy this one. And it's a really good Dracula performance for me because it's just so low key.
Okay.
So 3.5.
All right, John, what do you got for us?
I'm going with the 3.5 score too.
Okay.
I even with some of, for lack, I don't want to say faults or flaws, the dated nature of it being from the 70s. I really was thoroughly entertained. It kept my attention. Is it the destination? No. But you know what? It wasn't a bad journey. You know, if it comes on again, or if I see it again, you know, like with you, Mike, when you say you see it every 6 months, I might find myself doing that.
It's right there on YouTube, man.
You know, that's what I mean. Was it the best Dracula movie? No. But you know what? It was fun.
Okay. 3.5. All right, Bill, what do you got for us? Sorry, Jackie, Bill Toner.
Yeah. I can only go as far high as 2.5. It's the best I can do for you. It's
crap.
all right. It's charming. It wasn't a bad watch. I didn't hate watching it. It wasn't a chore, but it was just freaking long. And it lost me several times. You know, they tried really, really hard. Like I said, I'm rooting for them, but ultimately it didn't pull it off to where it could get above a 2.5. So that's mine.
All right. That's a story, and he's sticking to it. Tony, what do you got for us?
Well, if it was 1977 and I saw this, I would probably give it a higher rating. But these days, I would give it a 3. It holds up pretty good. It's got some drawbacks that kind of aren't its fault. I mean, it's limited by its time period, and the opening kind of drags it down. But I can recommend this movie. Like, this is a movie I would recommend to people. I would say, listen, you got to stick to the first half hour. You got to slog through it a little bit. But once it gets going, you're golden. Once you get to the point at which, you know, you're back in England the second time, I think that's when things start to really pick up. One thing I'll add, the Demeter's in it too, which I like too, because they just made that movie about the Demeter not too long ago.
Yeah,
which I hear is almost unwatchable, but that's it.
I love it.
I liked it a lot.
It was good. Okay,
Yeah.
I hear different reviews of that all the time.
I own a copy on Blu-ray.
Yep, same.
But I'm liking overall. It's a movie you can recommend to people who, especially people who lived in that era too. You know, I think the nostalgia part of it is very appealing.
Okay, all right. For me, I am going high, where others have gone low or lower than I am. I'm going with a 4. My suspension of disbelief still holds up. Like I said, seeing scenes, 5 minutes, they're into it in the castle. They're in the carriage. The creep starts right there for me. I like Louis Jordan's, low key sort of performance. I think the lack that people are describing was actually given to people, but it's done in that inverted sort of way that Eric was talking about, where they turned it into a negative. That didn't bother me because I accept it for the time.
Sure.
And so I remember seeing it, like I said, when I was like 9, in the same way that I saw Salem's Lot a couple of years later when I was like 10 or 11. It still holds up. Solid performances, still great fun. Is it Let the Right One In? No. Is it?
No.
Is it? Herzog's Nosferatu in the original German? No, it's not. But it's still a damn entertaining vampire flick. The Brides, some of the best Brides that I've seen, some of the best Van Helsing that I've seen. It's great. It's great. So I'll give it a 4. Is it cinema? No. Is it high level entertainment? Yeah. High level entertainment. So that's what.
And it was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Eric, plug something.
YouTube channel is Hey Internet Eric here. What's today? Wednesday?
All day.
So probably by Friday, I'll have my video up on Let the Right One In, the original first time watch. Spoilers, I'm fucking loving it. I'm gonna finish it tonight. And then this Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern, I'm bringing back my interview series. I'm interviewing another independent professional wrestler, Eric Fallon. He is a 20-year veteran of the independent scene. He's wrestled everywhere from your local high school gym to the NWA that Billy Corgan now owns. We're going to talk about a lot of road stories and this and that. And he is the one that, Mike, I think I've shown you. He has wrestled in my town a handful of times. It was one of those falls count anywhere, no DQ matches. And he's got a guy outside sitting in a chair. He yells, "I need a kid." And the kid that he picked up and used as a battering ram during the match was my own daughter. And it helped her become a little local celebrity. We're going to bring that up and a bunch of other things.
Very cool. Very cool. Kudos. John, anything? What do you got?
I mentioned this last week, and I just texted you the poster.
Mm-hmm.
There's a show that's happening in Summers Point that a friend of mine wrote, and I've seen it several times. And last weekend he asked me to go to do some PR photo shoot. It's called Magic Flowers. Yes, it is a holiday show, but it's a little different than what you would normally see in a holiday show. First off, it's under an hour long, but it's very funny, and it's a romantic comedy set up pretty much for two people. There's a young woman who is getting ready to spend Christmas alone because she doesn't really believe in a holiday, and a guy sells her these magic flowers that will help her find love. And hence, all fun ensues. The trick about it is, though, they're doing it on Friday night, the 13th, at 8 p.m. On Saturday, the 14th, they're doing it at 2 and 4 p.m. And then on the 15th, Sunday, they're doing it at 2 p.m. And why I like to push it on the stream is the fact that the 4 p.m. showing is going to go live on streaming. Nice. I've done work with this guy before. There's the poster right there. I've done work with this guy before. He's a script writer that was born and raised in Wildwood, New Jersey, went out in California and became a script doctor after getting a master's degree from Carnegie Mellon. And basically what he does is fix scripts. For years, I've been doing original playwright weekends for him where we stream it as well on live. And he keeps doing a reading of a romantic comedy on Derby Day called Derby Day and things like that. But the point about it is these are offbeat stories that actually really work. So if you're looking for something different this holiday that doesn't conclude with a father putting his arm around his son, as Jon Stewart used to say, said, "Well, Billy, there's going to be no Christmas this year." Oh, but wait, because that's, pretty much all Christmas stories. This is a fun one. You might actually like it.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. Sounds good. Bill, anything going on?
Yeah, my
that's right.
Show returns for a short run over the holidays. Neverlasting Gobstopper, the best 3 hours you've ever heard. This year I'm doing Thursdays 5 to 8, starting next Thursday, December 12th, going through January 9th. That will be on Monmouth University's radio station, WMCX 88.9 FM if you're at the Jersey Shore. Or you can listen on TuneIn app and other spots. Just go to WMCX.com. There you have it.
You have to get on there and request Bill to play some Nickelback. So.
It'll give you a nickel back.
Yeah, exactly. Tony, what do you got for us? Anything?
Well, I got book 16 of the Pineys, which came out in October, so I'm selling that. That includes a story about the Atco Ghost, a story about Joe Mulliner, the famous highway bandit who lived during the Revolutionary War, and also a story about Peggy Clevenger, the witch from Pasadena, and Jerry Mulholland, the Wizard of Hanover Furnace. These are all South Jersey folk tales and many more. I will be This weekend on Saturday from 10 to 4, I'll be at the Dickens Craft Fair in Mays Landing, New Jersey. And then at 6 p.m., I'll be at Maker's Workshop in Laurel Springs for the tree lighting ceremony until 9. And then on Sunday, I will be at the Holiday Extravaganza in Hainesport, New Jersey at Dan Sations from 10 to 1.
Nice.
Good grief. That's
Say
that's
hi to
quite a
Big Rusty
schedule.
for me.
It's a slow weekend for Tony.
That is.
Things are slowing down. Things are slowing down. All right. For this channel, I'm going to have to come up with something for next week. I really don't have. I don't know. I've been taking my time with things, but we are literally 3 weeks away from Christmas. 3 weeks today. From today is Christmas Day, which means in 2 weeks we're going to have to do our Christmas movie. And I can't remember what the hell we decided on.
I do.
Yeah,
What was it, John?
I thought it was the Muppets Christmas Carol.
but that might have been it. It was something.
I think
like
you know
that.
what I
think that's what it was because we said let's do the Muppets Christmas Carol.
Is that the one with Michael Caine?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then what did we do last year?
That's
last
the
year
one
with George C. Scott, wasn't it? No,
No,
last year was It's a Wonderful Life.
No, last year we did
Weapon?
Miracle on 34th Street. I thought
We did.
but we
I
did
know
that
we've
2
done
years
it.
ago.
Yeah.
We've
The
done
first
it.
Christmas one, it was you and me, Michael, doing George C. Scott's Christmas Carol.
Yeah,
I was on
yeah,
that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
John, Bill was part of that. Bill was part
Yeah,
of that.
and then it was Miracle on 34th Street, and then I'm trying to remember. There was
We
something
were
else.
doing.
That
You were doing
we
a
were
bunch of.
doing it's bitter cold out there. Like we did.
Yeah,
Batman
I'm having a
Returns
bad
and-
Christmas. So we did Lethal
Yeah.
Weapon. We did Batman Returns. We did that
Burns.
fucking Chuck Norris movie that
that
we
Chuck
didn't
Norris
like.
movie.
USA. Version USA.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Richard Jekyll, he was having PTSD,
Yeah.
dreaming about getting kicked in the face by Chuck Norris. That would be
Yeah.
enough to fuck anybody up.
I think
Hold
that's
on
why
a
we
second,
said we
we're
got to
gonna-
go with Michael Caine and the Muppets.
Now that I'm here, I'm just like.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. So we got Mr. Dan. He said that's interesting. My son is studying at Carnegie Mellon. All right.
Yeah, this guy, Bill, his name was Bill Sterrett, and he used to turn around and say when he went to Carnegie Mellon, they beat the Neil Simon out of him. Because,
That's a good line.
Yeah.
You should always have the Neil Simon beaten out of you.
Yeah, he said,
Go ahead, John.
I know, that's what he said. He used to write these very charming plays down here and get them produced. And then when he went to Carnegie Mellon, he's like, no, I can do more. Like, that type deal. That's what I'm saying. This Christmas show is different compared to other Christmas shows that I have seen, been in, or have written myself. The way he approaches it is like, holy Christ, this is a really good romantic comedy.
All right. All right. I guess let's start to bring this to a close. My thanks to Eric from Internet Eric here. My thanks to John K. Alvarez. My thanks to Tony DiGirolamo. Tony, I'd love to have you back on sometime. I hope you had fun.
It was great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime.
We'd love to have you back on. The next, I'll reach out. We'll keep in touch, and we'll set it up. All right. And
Excellent.
my thanks, man. And my thanks to Jackie Bill Tona,
Regular human podcaster.
Allegedly.
And good night, everybody. That'll be it. And I'll see you all in the next video. All right,
Cheers.
take care, everyone. God bless
Be
you.
well.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. This is the American Werewolf. Thanks for stopping by. Like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel.